Good morning to my friends and family and my mortal enemies and the mortal coil. How y'all doing? Well, I'm sitting here with a cup of coffee and it's a little bit cold out this morning. I was going to go down to the park for my morning walk, but it's too cold and it's overcast. I'm actually wearing a warm hat for the first time. So I decided I would step outside here with my coffee and my vape and make a video. First I have to decide what I'm going to make a video about. Actually, you know, one of the things I really wanted to talk about, this is funny, but let me scoot forward here. Scoot forward and get comfy. The idea of overthinking things to the point where a person just really can't set their feet down anywhere, anywhere solid, because they're always questioning everything. Let me try to give you an example, because I've been there and I understand that mindset that, nothing is as it seems. And I feel like there's a point in life where you just have to realize that, while the world may be an illusion, everything in it is as real as it's going to be for us. In other words, you can prove that everything's a certain way only to yourself, and there's no way to really express that to other people in a way that they're going to understand the way that you understand. It's the best way I can put it, I guess. You may be able to convey an idea to other people, but they're only going to pick up as much of it as they're willing to pick up, or as much of it as they're ready, or the old, ears to hear and eyes to see kind of thing. It doesn't mean one person's better or worse or superior than the other person, but what it does mean is that if you're not prepared to take a lesson and it comes to you, then you might misinterpret it as something else. I guess I'm talking in circles, it seems like, but I'll get to my point. When, let's say we have a conversation with someone, and I were to say something relating to the universe, and a person might respond with something going on and on about the universal mind and how nothing can exist, and symbols are this, or numbers are that, or philosophy means this, or you're really not standing on anything because everything's an illusion, and yada yada yada. You get to the point where you start to realize that none of that shit matters. It's a bunch of fodder for the mind, in the sense that it's easy to look at life and see the illusions. Okay, let me put it a different way. Sometimes it's easy for people to point out the faults in others, but they can't seem to see the good. And sometimes it's easy for people to point out the faults in themselves, but it's really hard for them to see the good. These are two totally different types of people. There's the egotistical, arrogant person, and then there's the low self-esteem person, depending on whether you trust yourself or trust others or don't trust anyone. When people are telling us that, let's say scientifically nothing exists, that atoms are nothing more than quarks, and quarks are energy, and people will go on and have these debates and arguments based on theory and philosophy, ideas that haven't even been proven or really explained yet, and argue amongst themselves about what is true and what isn't true. It's almost like we've taken away this connection. I don't know how to word it. It doesn't come out right. I'm not going to say we've taken away anything, because it's not fair, because we were just as ignorant in years past. I know people like to romanticize ancient history and think, wow, we really had it figured out. We must have been connected to nature. We must have understood our world better. I think that that's nonsense. I think that humans, if there was a golden age of enlightenment where we were, let's say, aware of our spiritual essence and we had everything figured out, we knew what everything was about, it's only human nature to still yearn for something greater. And I think that that's what makes us human. So for us to romanticize history, thinking that there was a time when the ancients, were just totally contented where they were, everyone was happy, that people were working in unison to build these giant monuments, that there was no slavery, that there was no, hierarchy. It's just preposterous. We know it's not true. We know there was slavery in every culture. We know that there was, poor leadership in every culture. We know there were bad decisions made in every culture. What it is today, we are overwhelmed with our technology. We are overwhelmed with what we've created, and it's crazy because it's like we're pointing the finger at history, saying, look at what our ancestors did. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to express what I'm trying to convey here, because I'm connecting the idea that we get really wrapped up in the little details about things, as I was saying at the beginning of this video, because of our fear of understanding even the simplest things, that we've come so far. I heard that click, it must be 7:19. The lights turned on in there. That we as humans have so much going on right now that we've created. This illusion that money brings comfort, or that we're searching for something through materialism. And we all know that's not true. We all know that there's the greater spirituality or awareness that conquers any material good. I mean, there's very few people that will tell you that money buys happiness. But there are billions to tell you that it doesn't. Ask yourself something for a minute. Is this always coming from people that don't have money? Just a thought. I know I'm one of them. It's easy to say money doesn't buy happiness when you don't have a lot of it. And I'm using this as an example for you can use this, and you can use this metaphor for so many things of humans. Like if you have money, then money is a great thing for you. If you don't have money, then money is a horrible thing for you. Not always, but this is a way that we cope with where we are at in life. And we do this with everything, not just money, with our spiritual essence too, with our awarenesses, that we might hold our awareness against someone else, over someone else, by saying, oh, you're just not there yet, or you're just not aware yet. And in the meantime, we make up all of these complicated, kind of what I was talking about with the whole quarks and the electrons and everything, how nothing really is. Now people have told me that this doesn't exist, that doesn't exist, or this is real and that is real. That things that I can see don't exist, and things that I've never seen exist. And I understand this, process. It's a lifetime of learning, and there's no point in trying to dismiss someone else's beliefs. There's no point in trying to accept someone else's beliefs either. And I'm not talking about religious beliefs here. I'm talking about beliefs in general, just about who we are and what we're supposed to be doing. It's very difficult to break away from the public's image of who we are as humans. It's difficult to even develop our own, I guess. And life is so short, it seems. When you're young, it seems really long, and then you get to be older, and hey, doggy. And you get older, and you realize it goes by so fast, and then the elders tell you, oh yeah, life is too short, and whatever. It's not too short. It's just long enough to where if you're willing to put in the work, you can start to understand things. And I guess if I were to make a point in this video, because this has been a very random, rambling video, but that's how the subject is in my mind. I push it to the back because it's something that's hard for me to talk about, only because it's hard to explain. let's say you make a really important connection in your life to where you understand something greater, or and then somebody comes along and tells you, nope, that's not right. This is pointless to know. Really, you need to know this. Let me tell you something else. This is akin to a person who has just picked up, like, basic algebra, and having a guy from calculus come along and say, well, this is what you're after. Don't worry about that stuff. You can't understand the calculus until you've got through the algebra. And this doesn't mean that calculus and algebra are not a growth out of one. They're both mathematical ideas, and they both deal with different things. But one helps to understand the other. And in the same way, when we go through a phase in our life and someone says, oh, well, just move past that and get on to the next thing, you have to have that phase in your life in order to understand in the future and know better. If you're in pain for a week, and then finally that pain lifts and you're back to normal, or even for a month or so, you break your arm or something, it's easy to be grateful for having your arm back and having to be pain-free. But you quickly forget about that. And within a couple of years, you think nothing of being in pain, because it was a short period of time compared to your life. If you suffer from sciatica from like 2 or 3 years, like I did, let's say, or so many other debilitating conditions that people have, where you literally can't get out of bed, you need help into the bathtub, you're incapacitated, you don't forget those things. And I'm using that as an example that the more that we spend time on understanding the basics and not trying to skip forward, the more work we have put into something, even if it is just being in pain, then the more we understand it and the more humble we become in the future, and the more we can say, whoa, I never want to go back to that again. Like when I pick up my kids and start spinning them around in circles, and I know that I'm going to pick up on some sciatic pain by doing that, but it's worth it. They're kids. Anyway, there's my morning ramble. Now I'm finally awake. I'm ready to actually do something. But anyway, that's my morning video. I hope y'all are doing well. Well, this is what I have to do today. Finish taking these girls down. Been hard at work. I'll cut down to nothing. Except that one. And that one. And that one. And that one.